Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Monday, July 27th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya C. The COVID roller coaster is once again climbing in San Diego County, and unfortunately the numbers are rising so fast. More people are going for the ride as it spreads dramatically. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman on what's behind it and what hospitals fear could be coming.
Data from the Point Loma treatment plant shows a sharp increase in the amount of COVID found in San Diegans' wastewater. On the right of this graph are the most recent viral loads, which are already larger than last summer, and the steep peak on the left is the past winter surge.
What that tells us is that in the next 2 to 4 weeks, we are going to be dealing with more cases of COVID, and no questions about that.
Dr. William Sang is Assistant Chief of Staff for Kaiser San Diego. He says wastewater has proven to be an early indicator of when COVID cases are rising, and this summer's surge is driven by the highly contagious BA.5 subvariant.
The cases are out there, and they're going to grow. We really never know that we're over the peak until we're on the other side. So it's hard to predict, but we're not on the other side yet.
COVID-related hospitalizations have been increasing. That puts San Diego County in the CDC's high-risk tier. Sang expects the upticks to continue. He recommends people mask up and get boosters.
If you have not gotten your third dose of vaccine, you have got to get it, because that makes a huge difference between you're ending up in a hospital and dying from this versus you're getting a sore throat.
He says special care should be given if visiting older family or friends.
Don't give them COVID. You may survive it, but they may not. Take care of each other, meaning when you go to an indoor event, wear a mask on. You don't know if you may have COVID or other people there may be susceptible. If you wear your mask indoors, you really prevent spreading this. So be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
San Diego voters will decide whether to reform the city's People's Ordinance, a 1919 law that keeps the city from charging some residents for trash pickup. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado has the details.
For over 100 years, many San Diegans, mainly single-family homeowners, have enjoyed free trash pickup thanks to what is known as the People's Ordinance. But now, after a city council vote, the people will decide if this will continue.
And with that, the item passes 7-2 with Councilmember Von Wilpert and Councilmember Kate voting no.
Today, the city council voted to put it on the November ballot.
We have a 100-year-old rule on the books that is not built for modern day society, and we're all worse off for it. It has a huge impact on our general fund. We're not able to provide the level of service that we want. And we've got people who are free riding.
Council President Shanilo Rivera was a yes vote and was among a group of community organizers who gathered this morning to show support for amending the ordinance. He says this is not a repeal and the city will not profit from the services.
And voters will know exactly what we're asking from them. And that is simply to provide the city the flexibility by recovering costs to provide a better level of service and to do it in a way that's fiscally responsible.
Public comment was mostly in support of reform. Kim Knox, president of the League of Women Voters, said she's not the only one that thinks this ordinance is unfair.
Owners of condos and homes on private streets, as well as apartment dwellers, aren't eligible for city-provided trash service and must hire a private hauler. The grand jury recommended multiple times that the so-called People's Ordinance be amended so this inequity is corrected.
Rodney Fowler Sr. is a retired environmental services worker. He voiced his concern shared by many of those opposed to reform.
Affluent communities have always had the opportunity and ability to advocate for themselves. Under the current proposal, working class and marginal communities will be made to bear the cost of being poor.
Elo Rivera said seniors and low-income families would not be overlooked in the amendment. And he notes trash collection isn't really free. It's currently paid for out of the city's general fund. He says if voters reject the reform proposal in November, some tough choices will have to be made.
Our general fund will continue to take the hit, and it takes the hit in the range of about $50 million per year. And that's $50 million that won't otherwise be able to be spent on parks, libraries, firefighters, lifeguards.
Elo Rivera says if the measure passes, it will still take a lot of community forums and studies for the city to establish what services will be offered and what they will cost. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
More than 600 pharmacy workers across Southern California could walk off the job this week. Workers at Ralph's, Vons, Albertsons, and Pavilion stores voted to authorize a strike. United Food and Commercial Workers filed unfair labor practice charges against the stores, claiming unlawful and unfair treatment. A Ralph's spokesperson says the store is continuing to negotiate in good faith. Albertsons, which owns Pavilions, and Vons did not respond to a request for comment. Union members voted to ratify a new 2-year contract with the Hilton San Diego Bayfront. A tentative agreement was reached last Wednesday night after hundreds of hotel workers went on strike just as Comic-Con was about to get underway. The contract includes a $4 increase in hourly wages for non-tipped employees over the next 2 years, as well as 24-month pandemic recall, which requires that laid-off workers are offered their position back before new applicants. Comic-Con is over, and now it's time to clean up after the 4-day pop culture extravaganza. As the Gaslamp Quarter transforms back to normal, KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen takes a look at the impact the convention had on the local economy.
The wraps are coming off the buildings. The streets and windows are getting a much-needed closing down. Comic-Con is now officially over.
Right now, we're just making sure we got a little bit graffiti, some detail work that needs to be done through the city right now.
That's Alonso Vivas with the Downtown San Diego Partnership Clean and Safe program. He says through the 4-day weekend, a staff of more than 100 picked up over 46,000 pounds of trash. That's twice the amount compared to a typical weekend.
Every year, we actually have less and less trash and flyers. Obviously, there's still a lot of that to be cleaned up, but we're noticing that a lot of the trash has ended up where it should be.
This is the first full-scale Comic-Con in 3 years, and businesses say the customer volume was down about 10 to 15% from 2019, but overall, things were good. While the economic numbers for Comic-Con won't be released for a while, impact to the local San Diego economy is estimated to be over $165 million, with about $90 million in direct spending. Sarah Archman is the marketing director for Greystone Steakhouse. She says Comic-Con's impact extends beyond the downtown area. Businesses throughout San Diego also benefited.
It was extremely successful for all the business owners. It was definitely a boost in revenue. We definitely saw a boost of about 40 to 50% throughout the Gaslamp at different businesses.
More than 130,000 people visited the convention center this weekend. Brian Pellick is one of them. He is visiting from Nashville with his wife.
It was shocking about how many people were here, but overall I thought it was a great event. I was going to a lot of the restaurants on 5th as well as on 10th and all of that. So just kind of visiting around a lot of the restaurants.
And if Pellick is any indication,
if I could come back, I'm going to come back.
Comic-Con next year will be more of the same. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
The unemployment rate rose in San Diego County for the first time in months. It increased to 3.2% in June. That's up from a revised 2.7% in May, a loss of jobs in the professional and business services sector accounting for the hike. Worth noting, a year ago in June, the county rate stood at 7.3%. The state jobless rate for June is 4%, nationwide at 3.8%. New overnight camping options are being considered at Silver Strand State Beach in San Diego South Bay. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayers says it's part of a statewide effort to make camping more accessible to people with low incomes.
With the help from an online survey, California state park officials are exploring new camping options at Silver Strand State Beach. They're working with a handful of local organizations like City Heights CDC to spread the message.
There's no way for folks to stay there overnight, to camp there, unless you have access to an RV, right? So we see that as an equity issue. Not a lot of folks can afford RVs, to own them or to rent them.
Randy Torres Van Vleck says the survey is part of a study called Lower Cost Coastal Overnight Accommodations. They want to help low and moderate income households, youth-serving organizations, and others with limited opportunities to be able to camp at the state beach just south of Coronado.
Whether it's financial barriers, transportation, economical barriers, or just geographically where they're located, and just they may live here and have never experienced the beach before just because they don't have the means to be able to safely experience or even get to the beach.
Urban Surf for Kids Executive Director Roxanne Avant works with youth in foster and at-risk communities. She says the survey asks about non-traditional approaches to camping.
And it does address an area that I think creates, that's focusing on the financial cost. It asks the survey taker, do you need gear? Do you need tents and sleeping bags?
Currently, camping is available year-round in RVs or in trailers, and tent camping is available at 2 group campsites from June through August. But now, state park officials are considering cottages, trailers, hike and bike camping, and traditional campsites.
We see it as a multi-pronged strategy. We want to create those local experiences where communities like City Heights can have a park to go to, canyons to go to. But we also want to be able to open up those regional assets like Silver Strand and Pacific Beach and other places, via transit, walking, biking.
The 20-minute survey has to be completed by end of day on July 27th. The new accommodations will be developed over the next several years. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
If you have plans to visit Yosemite, there's another massive wildfire burning through the national park. It's been growing so fast, thousands in Maricopa County are being forced to leave. The latest now from reporter Mike Valerio.
Inside the fire zone, there are forests and neighborhoods that now look more like a battlefield.
They came by about 15, 20 minutes ago and told us that everybody's got to go. About 4 o'clock, the power went out. And the fire's been coming towards us faster and faster.
The Oak Fire, raging near Yosemite National Park, has now burned more than 16,000 acres in California's Mariposa County.
The Sheriff's Department came out and got our horses, and the Mariposa County SPCA, they take evacuations for smaller animals.
More than 3,000 people are evacuated so far. By Monday, crews reached 10% containment after a weekend when the wildfire exploded in size.
It's not giving people a lot of time, and they sometimes are just going to have to evacuate with the shirts on their back.
Scientists say the climate crisis fueling fires in the West is sending temperatures soaring in the Northeast. Deaths related to the heat are now reported in Pennsylvania and New York.
People are taking the notice seriously.
Boston hit 100 this weekend, and people in Pennsylvania suffering through it all with no power after Saturday's storms added to the misery.
I just literally threw out a whole deep freezer, my refrigerator, my neighbors, there's elderly people. My house is 84 degrees at the moment.
Mike Valerio, KPBS News.
Many in San Diego County say they felt the earthquake in Baja California early this morning. The 4.3 magnitude hit at 4:20 this morning, several miles northwest of Ensenada. According to the USGS, county residents as far north as Oceanside felt the earthquake. Residents in San Diego and Chula Vista also reported feeling the trembler. No injuries and structure damage reported.
We're looking to stay cool and comfortable near the coast here over the next couple of days across Southern California. No real changes to the forecast there, but there is going to be the monsoon moisture force present, and that is going to try to bring in a little bit of shower activity into the mountains. But for the most part, most of us are going to miss out on any kind of significant rainfall here. Here's the big picture story all the way through Friday. Again, you'll notice that some spotty storms will get into Southern California, but overall, they're likely going to miss most of the big cities here. It's going to try to bring most of that beneficial rainfall into the Four Corners area. So as we head into tonight, temperatures will fall back down into the mid-60s in Oceanside. Low 60s in Escondido. Have that chance for a shower, thunderstorm in Mount Laguna with temperatures falling into the low 60s. Tuesday, similar story. Some wet weather tries to get into Southern California, but most of it will stay here locked into the Four Corners and into Southern Nevada too. Temperatures right around 73 in San Diego. 90s and 80s on the board for some of the inland areas, 90s in El Cajon, triple digits out towards Borrego Springs. And then Wednesday, similar story. story, Sierra Nevada might get in on a little bit of spotty storm activity as we head into Wednesday. So near the coast, the temperatures mid-70s over the next several days here, a mix of sunshine and clouds. No real changes here day in, day out. Further inland, low to mid-80s and maybe a little bit of a warm-up as we head towards next weekend. Otherwise, it's a mix of sunshine and clouds and likely staying dry for us inland. In the mountains, this is our best chance for maybe a shower or two Thursday into Friday. But aside from that, it's staying mainly dry with temperatures in the mid-70s. And as we look towards the deserts, it is hot and mainly dry here. Not really looking at any kind of significant shower chance. Temperatures around 104, 105 through Thursday, and maybe a little bit of a drop as we close out the work week on Friday and head into the weekend. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
Monkeypox continues to spread, but health experts are concerned we're not getting the full picture. In San Diego County, there have been 20 confirmed cases, double the number of the week before. There are about 2,900 cases in the U.S., but the CDC says that's likely an undercount. Of the cases that have been reported, the CDC only has detailed information on about half of them. And it's not getting vaccination data either. Health officials say the lack of information makes it harder to determine the path the monkeypox outbreak might take.
We should absolutely be concerned, 100% concerned, because we've not had monkeypox the way we've seen it now, and we don't want it to become a part of life the way we're seeing. And so we have to stay ahead of it, and that's what we've been trying to do since day one.
And one of the issues is that states are not required to share monkeypox data with the CDC, though it's working on a data use agreement that some states have already signed. The World Health Organization declared monkeypox a public health emergency of international concern on Sunday, and so far it hasn't been declared a public health emergency in the United States.
Woodruff tonight on the NewsHour. Crews struggle to contain the massive fire burning near Yosemite National Park. Coming up after your hour of local news on Arizona PBS.
About a dozen San Diego County high school students spent the past week building robots. Joshua Williams is an alumnus of the University of San Diego, where he founded USD's student chapter of the National Society of Black Engineers. He hosted the first-time science camp for students with the Young Echelon organization that helps to empower the next generation of black leaders. Students designed their own robots using their cell phones to direct them in performing simple tasks.
So we'll introduce them to concepts like what is binary code, so they just know the foundation that all coding that is used is actually based upon, so that when they go out into the world in their future, they're ready to just dive right into it.
The Young Echelon organization also provides training for high school students of color to learn skills in business leadership and community outreach. A new video game that takes kids on a scientific journey inside their body's cells debuted at Comic-Con over the weekend. KPBS education reporter MG Perez shows us the game created by San Diego scientists that takes you under a microscope.
Beata Mirswa shatters the stereotype of the comic book mad scientist.
There's the stereotype of, having the crazy guy in the in the lab coat. So we want to make sure that we highlight that women can be scientists.
Mirswa is a UC San Diego cancer researcher, as well as an artist, fashion designer, and now video game creator. It's called Microscopia and takes kids into their body through a cell phone, tablet, or computer screen. More specifically, into their individual cells.
When you hear Microscopia, you think of this utopia in a microscopic world.
Matthew Cooney is the video game's co-creator. His specialty is conservation science. Together, this team designed a visual, educational game to engage young minds in a journey of biology. They are led by an avatar they create themselves. Every color and identity can be represented.
Or a student who is playing it can see themselves as the hero in the story. And use the creativity and learn that you can overcome obstacles and solve the puzzles and be the hero of the story. You just walk around and explore. And if you need help, you can click on that question mark.
The science will come easy to some students. For others who are visual learners and problem solvers, there are puzzles and pictures to help with learning. 11-year-old Noah Sheffa is stumped.
So I'm trying to restore this power, but I don't know how.
Maya Sinisha has the hang of it.
My favorite part of it is that there's some challenges and you have to find a way to overcome them.
There are all kinds of opportunities for learning and creating here at the Comic-Con Museum in Balboa Park. The 2022 convention was a jumpstart for kids ready to think outside the box.
Without telling the kids this is math, this is algorithms. It's more like, this is a story, let's go and play some sort of a video game storytelling style.
Microscopia is available now as a free downloadable app for Android or iOS. You can also find it on a browser.
So you get to go on a journey to the inside of the cell and explore the molecular world and all of the beauty that is going on there.
Beauty and plenty of fun, too. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Comic-Con is over, but for some artists who attended the show and went to portfolio reviews, their work may just be beginning. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accamundo checked out the portfolio review area.
Waiting for one of the portfolio review panels.
I'm waiting for portfolio review from Immortal Studios. Pretty excited.
Basically means checking out your artwork. If you're looking for either work or even criticism, if you're looking to improve, it's probably the best way to do it.
For Created Comics, we've hired a tremendous amount of people from doing portfolio reviews here at Comic-Con. So are you just looking to pretty much work for hire at this point, or? It kind of opens up the ability to see more than what can be put in front of me digitally. It's really nice to actually be able to connect with somebody face to face and actually, look at their stuff, physically, and point out different things about, the artwork that might work or the storytelling capacity or just, whatever different facets they actually have in their portfolio. So instead of doing a static, hey, I'm here, doing more of a dynamic review coming out. So I never know what's going to happen when the person sits down and they say, here it is, and they open it up, and it's either, a wonderful treasure trove of things, or I'm looking at it going, I'm very confused. But it's because of the fact that it's in this small panel, you've limited yourself. You obviously have the ability to draw it, and to draw a nice action pose.
So I like the fact that you can sit down and talk to people, talk to editors. I mean, it's great to do it online, but it always feels better just to have the one-on-one talking to somebody.
I think one way to potentially fix this is if you were to pull the view back a little bit more.
I've gained some work, and then also gained a lot of pointers on how to do, how to improve in my artwork.
The good ones they're very open to criticism. The problem that I'm having from looking from page 1 to page 2 here is the placement of the plant. At the same time, though, when I look at a portfolio, I'm not going to sit there and be like, that's terrible and that's wrong, and that doesn't do them any good either if I'm just mean to them.
Take every single note that people give you and just go from there. Try to improve.
I like to see how I grow as an artist, because each year my style grows from the comic book to more realistic. So it's nice to see the evaluation from professionals to get their perspective on my work.
So again, with your inks, you got to be careful and cautious of making sure the line weights aren't the same, because this gets very hard to see.
Well, in this business, you have to have a very thick skin.
A good constructive criticism is a great way to learn from.
So it's nice to get feedback in person from another human being that can tell you the areas that you should work on and focus on.
He evaluated my work. It was great. He complimented on it.
It's not just about being told what to fix, it's also being told what you're doing right and what to do more of.
So he gave me great advice of basically making my characters to stand out compared to the background, so my characters can pop. So it's pretty awesome, yeah.
Some people are going to be bluntly honest with you, and then some people might actually sugarcoat it. If you're at that level, If you're not, you're going to hear it. They're going to tell you. It's best just to take notes and then come back next year and just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it.
So we just had a portfolio review for our comic Glitch. It's a project that Sarah does the writing for, I do the art for, and we just kind of sat and got some feedback on what was working out, what needed some improvement, and just places we could do better in the future.
It was really eye-opening for me as a writer to go through the portfolio review, and the emphasis is a little more on the art because it helps me in the scripting process to kind of get a better handle on what goes into translating the words into a visual medium.
He ended up liking something that wasn't on the pages that I brought. I wanted some of my personal work.
I mean, again, I'd be interested in seeing a treatment of that.
So I'm going to be sending him some treatment of what I did, and then hopefully we'll take it from there. That's the most important thing, is following up with everyone that you talk to.
And that was Beth Accomando reporting. In case you missed anything, you can find all of our Comic-Con coverage on our website, kpbs.org. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. Conversion therapy is a debunked practice that claims to change a person's sexual orientation. California banned the practice in 2012. On Morning Edition, how it's still being used in Baja California. And plans to make over Seaport Village are moving forward. On Midday Edition, the changes the developers have made to address concerns raised by the Port of San Diego. You still have a chance to become a mega millionaire. Friday night's Mega Millions drawing did not produce a ticket matching all 6 winning numbers, and now the projected jackpot for Tuesday night's drawing is up to $810 million, and that would be the 3rd largest jackpot in the lottery's history. The odds of drawing all 6 numbers, 1 in nearly 302 million. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.